Brilliant. Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, the 1st of May, 2025. This is In Truth and in Spirit, Well of Worship Fellowship. We normally have these Zoom fellowships every Thursday. And some Thursdays, actually majority Thursdays, we have these political or social discussions, matters concerning the public affairs, where we put in context the events, the statements, and the theories that emerge, and then we try to relate that with what ought to be done against what has been done. We are trying to contribute to the development of our country. And what we mean by our country, we mean individual citizens. We assume, we could be right or wrong, that those who listen or who participate in these discussions will be very instrumental in first, the improvement of their lives, their perspective about life and social affairs, and eventually the development of our environment, whose umbrella is the nation altogether. We would like to thank each and every one of you who has joined today. It is an open forum, and today we are discussing a topic: hospital or church? And the guiding question is how personal experience shapes our responses to suffering. But don't be duped by the framing of our topic. We want to discuss politics, politicians, and citizens, and then our worldviews and our belief systems. How we use policy to exercise our belief systems, and how we abuse policy at the same time by exercising our belief systems. So item number one: what influences the way people choose to give back after experiencing personal healing or survival? What influences? Number two: in communities struggling with poverty and inequality, is it enough to focus only on spiritual needs? Is meeting physical needs like healthcare more important than meeting spiritual needs, or should both go hand in hand? Finally, how do culture, privilege, politics, and personal experiences influence what we see as true impact? Now, those are the four guiding questions. But where does all this come from? It comes from a particular event. Recently in Uganda, in the district of Sabbath-day, one of the historicals of Uganda's leadership, and one of the leaders, and I guess he's still even a leader, he's Mr. Kuteesa. Unfortunately, he suffered cancer, and he flew to Germany for treatment. He spent there a while. Some of you actually saw his pics before he left for Germany. He wasn't looking good, and like anyone who is sick. So he was in a very bad shape. I am one of the people who saw him when he was still in that state. So he left and went to Germany for treatment. Thankfully, and we thank God and we thank the doctors, the brother healed and survived throat cancer. And then he's been restored. When you look at him today and you compare with the way he looked when he was struggling with the problem, there is not only a change, but there is a difference altogether. So we thank God for healing the brother, and we thank the doctors and the expertise. So when he came back after surviving cancer, as a leader of the people of Sabbath-day, he decided to gift the people of Sabbath-day with a mega church. mega church not in congregation, but mega church in structure, it is likely that he spent not less than 1.5 billion in constructing that structure of a church, and that's the gift that he gave to two agents. Agent number one, he claims that he gave it back to the God who healed him. Agent number two, he gave that gift to the people of Zimbabwe, who are the people in his local. So, and then at its opening, its grand opening, he invited the top leaders of this country, including the main man, the president of this country, who was also present, and all other dignitaries were all there, opening up that church of that place. Mr. Sam Kuteesa is not the only leader who has done that. Recently, the deputy speaker of the parliament, Taibwa, gathered all his colleagues and his friends, and they fundraised for also a church structure also in his region, and that church structure actually cost not less than 7 billion shillings, according to what they collected. And they put up a church structure also in that region. Now, it was again a Kuteesa who tweeted on Twitter, and he responded to Sam Kuteesa by saying, Honorable Kuteesa, the people of Zimbabwe do not need a church, they need a hospital. They need a hospital. So, gentlemen and ladies, believers and non-believers, okay, we are gathered here today to have a discussion on this issue. One, was it right for the deputy speaker and his friends and Sam Kuteesa to gift their regions with a church and not with a hospital? Or we are discussing out of ignorance, Zimbabwe's need is a church, since they have the hospitals well stocked. And the people of the deputy speaker, where he comes from also, their need is also a church and not a hospital, okay? Or not a business, or not a loan scheme, or should I call it a foundation? How did they call this? So the people of Zimbabwe do not need a Sam Kuteesa Foundation, which empowers businesses and starts businesses. The people of Zimbabwe do not need a factory in Zimbabwe. The people of, where does Taiwa come from? Rutembana, where does the deputy speaker come from?
From Mitoma.
Thank you. The people of Mitoma do not need a factory that is worth 7 billion Ugandan shillings, but all they need is a church. Now, you have to be, when you are discussing this topic, you have to be fair to the politicians, knowing very well that when the Pope died, the busiest, I gathered this from my brother, the chairman of this fellowship, the busiest of this world had to pause all their schedule and change the programs and go to Vatican to mourn the death of a religious leader. Does that mean that religion is more powerful as far as politicians' assessment is concerned? Does that mean that religion and religious projects are more powerful than social and development and economic projects in the community? And that's why politicians are choosing to yes, Francis, you will be the first. And and that's why politicians are choosing church and religious gifts over economical structures and economical development projects. So this is why we are here. And of course, keep in mind our guiding questions. So what influenced the deputy speaker and Sam Kuteesa to choose to give back especially sometimes after experiencing a personal healing or survival. In fact, why didn't Kuteesa give that church before the event? Or did it necessitate a throat cancer for the people of Zimbabwe to have that structure? Did it necessitate for Taiba to first become the deputy speaker for the people of Mitoma to have that structure of over 7 billion shillings? You know, what influences that? So here we are. You are welcome. Francis wants to go first. Yes, Francis, are you there?
Thank you very much, moderator.
Mm.
Let me just start with this statement. I've seen a lot of hula baloo and ostracizing of Kuteesa, and I'll start by saying that no one has any business condemning Kuteesa for the decision he took. When someone is giving something to someone or to a group of people, it's their business to choose what they feel is right. And if he's saying he's doing it in thanks to God for whatever he did, I think it's his business. We This sense of dictating, of feeling that we have the audacity, we the need, we have the audacity of telling those who they have that what they should give us. I think it's none of our business. But to the question of what influenced him or what influences people, I think it's basically the knowledge, their understanding of God and their relationship with Him, the understanding of God. That's what influences them, because uh, at a very basic level, I think most people believe that when they go through such horrid situations or horrid sicknesses and they are healed, it's God or the gods, even from time immemorial, who have saved their lives. So that's when they feel the need to give back. In my culture, uh previous way back, even up to today, those who believe in African traditional religion, they they go back to the Bajaja whenever they have something good happen to them. When they have Abalongo twins, they go back to Bajaja. When they land a job, they go back to Bajaja to thank them. When they have when they have a good harvest, they go back to the gods and thank them. So I think it's this belief that even Christians, they believe that when they get a job, when a good job, when they get when they get a child, when they get healed from a sickness, uh, they believe that to sometimes they even believe that to keep whatever they have gotten, they have to do something special to thank. They have to be grateful to the God who has provided it. Otherwise, they believe that if they're not grateful, whatever has been gotten from that God may not be kept. So that understanding of a God who gives and takes, if you're not grateful, I think propels people to build churches and or to give back to. Well, you find many Pentecostals when they land something very big, you find them going back and giving the pastor lots of money or buying them vehicles or something like that. So they believe that if whatever they have gotten from this God is not appreciated well enough or in very strong terms, they may not keep it. So I have a feeling that even our senior Kuteesa believes that it's God who's responsible for the spared life, and he has to thank him with a big church. And if he doesn't thank him, maybe he may not have that life for long. So in order to keep his to keep himself alive for some more decades, maybe he has to, for a couple of decades, maybe he has to be grateful in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mr. Francis, Mr. Rugorobi. Thank you so much. Any other person? Bob, you're welcome. Okay. Tembana, do you want to come in?
Me on adding on what Francis has said, it was his money. He chooses what to do. And also one thing that people have to know is that some services, most especially these social services, education, health, what else we put there? Then plus the infrastructure like roads, they are built by government. Then these, when it comes to churches, mosques, worship places, they are built by individuals contributing to a common cause. So we shouldn't ask for some Kuteesa to build a hospital. We should be asking government to build a hospital. Because
we are asking some Kuteesa for a gift of a hospital. We are just entitled beggars whom do not want a gift of a church, but would prefer a gift of a hospital. How about that?
Now, that's why it came from saying the mandate of these social services lies with government. There are a few individuals who have come up and they have put up a word. Some of these politicians buy ambulances, but usually it is the mandate of what? Of government. Remember, Bob posted something on WhatsApp about that Muzungu man, is called Sam, not so, by coincidence. When he wanted to build a hospital, Ministry of Health told him that give us the money, we're going to build the hospital. Maybe they have certain standards or they have certain regulations they're supposed to follow. So one thing that we have to first understand is that not each and every individual can build, let's say, government hospital. If it's a private hospital, well and good. But I think for government facilities, government does. Even that example where Ministry of Health was insisting, give us the money for us, we're going to build the hospital.
So even if Kuteesa wanted to give us a hospital, the bureaucracy would have been so long and discouraging.
Then number two, there's 1.5 build a hospital. There's 1.5 build a hospital for cancer, because you see, they're trying to relate with his condition that he was in, and they're saying that since you had cancer, then you went to Germany, now build something relating to cancer. And if what the information, I'm not so sure, but we have been running cancer run like for the last 10 years, and they're telling us they're building a bunker, but every time we finish running, they tell us, we have collected 3 billion, we have collected how much, but up to now they're still building a bunker. So what could 1.5 do? So I think maybe there are so many things that we can ask on this thing, but the matter of the fact is that this was his money. He decided what to do with it. So we don't have anything to tell him on how to use his money. Thank you.
You're welcome. And from that point that you winded up on, and I think it's a very important point, we are so audacious that someone uses their money to build a church structure, and then we are offended that he didn't use his own money to build what we want. I think shame upon us, first of all, that we are even discussing someone's money and what they chose to use their money. Shame upon us. Shame upon us. Number one. Number two, but also those who have their own money do you have the license to use your money to offend us? Because it is your money, therefore you have all the rights to actually offend us. Because this whole thing of it is his money, it is his money. He chooses what to you to, you know. So someone uses their money, you know. Have you been in those neighborhoods where everyone have got their plot of land, but there is no written law that this is a residential area? There is actually no written law. But when you look at the entire neighborhood, it is a residential area. Then someone, boom, uses their money and puts there a Pentecostal church with night prayer, or puts there a bar, a huge bar and a discotheque. Shouldn't neighbors really have a meeting and then they talk about what someone's money did in their environment? So person, this is how we get to put our noses into someone's money and what they have done. Because our complaint is not that he built a mansion for himself, thanking God that he healed and then called all the people he called to come and enjoy. Because many people have done that housewarming. It is their money. And we haven't complained, why didn't he just build a shop? We don't have a wholesale shop here in our community. No, we don't complain. We normally complain when you involve yourself into projects that are for a public, and then we say, but for the public, now that this one is a public project, there is I wish you had asked us, because there are better public projects than this. Now, with actually the hospital is actually better. We are using hospital here as an example. Whether a hospital is actually better than a church for that matter. So basically that is our lugezigezi. And normally with the poor and the hopeless, I've got all that too much lugezigezi. Now, who wants to come in? Again, you come from any angle. You are free to come from any angle. Yes, Bob. Let me first go with Bob. Thank you, Francis. I saw your hand. Peter, I have seen your hand also, but let me first go with Bob. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. I think we need to reflect on this. First of all, I mean, I don't. I know the submissions that have come before, indicating that we shouldn't. This is not our money. This is not. But you make a very important point at the end there, and my thinking is this is all being brought up because of the biasness of the way our culture. Someone talked about since time memorial, Evigali, people go and thank God. I mean, they even Bajaja and all that. But I think we have, personally, I have a problem of people looking at all aspects of our life as different from God. This is what I mean. The Bible reminds us that whatever we do, okay, whether we eat, whether we drink, or whether we do whatever activity we do, let's do it for the glory of God. All right? If we agree with that, it would mean that if I decide to build a hospital, okay, or to donate money for a hospital, or to do whatever project, I'm going to do it for God. So I will not say that building a church is a God project while building a hospital is not a God's project. Now, I wanted to give that example which was used, which I shared on WhatsApp about that guy. Yes, there was a hurdle of the bureaucracy of building, but this guy insisted. Even being a foreigner, he insisted that either I give you my money, you lose my money, or you give me authority to supervise this project. And he did, and it went through, and people are happy. And in the end, when I was watching the video, he was saying the president actually wants to meet him and he see how that can be modeled in other hospitals or whatever. But it brought the attention of the president. So which means this bureaucracy which we are talking to is also man-made, and it can it can be moved, especially in Uganda, where we know that people are poor and money can turn anything. If MPs can be turned, their thinking, and they are given money, and their thought or their brain is moved, and they agree with the one who has given them money. So Kuteesa was in a very powerful position. If he even wanted to construct a road, he would, if he wanted. If he wanted to construct a school, he would have done so. But he decided to construct a church because of the setup in our brain that when he constructs a church, he thinks God will be happy with him. But when we think about it, that if he thought about this, I mean, the money may not even have been enough to build a cancer hospital, but it could maybe have bought a simple machine. But when he went for it's about inspiration. When he went for this treatment, he could have seen something that is lacking in our hospitals and said, you know what, I'm going to appreciate. But the thinking of building or buying an equipment of cancer, it is not equated to God. This is the problem. Not knowing that even when they construct a church, they are just giving money to these church people. You know what? Now a person who has been doing a wedding in a ramshackle church, paying 100K for church fees, they are going to raise it to 200K because now you see the building. I mean, this thinking. So basically, he put up the project for the pastors or priests or whatever to make more money. So we need to look at this thing all around. Even many people who are
Is that
looking,
useful to the community? If the priests and the religious leaders make more money, is then that useful to the community, or it is
no,
not?
it is not. It is enriching the priests themselves.
But the priests
Now,
are Zimbabweans. They are people in Zimbabwe.
wherever they are,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, wherever they are, it is basically the church as a church. Now, what we could even argue about is, for example, if he had gotten that money, okay, donated it to the church, this whatever billions they are, and maybe the church used it for what do you mean, like to support their orphanages, to it goes back to the community without necessarily any bias. Okay. Anyway, this is my thinking. That yes, we do not have authority to tell this person not to construct a church, but it's just a change of thinking of that. If they don't construct a church, or if they don't give this money to the priest, then they have not thanked God. Okay. This is the change of thinking that I'm trying to look at. And now, God forbid, a person in the community gets, now the example they gave of that Muzungu, he was just saying, okay, I've been here, these are poor conditions, let me donate money such that another person who will come and has a leg problem, has a whatever problem, this word will be a healing, will be a beneficial, because I have gone through this, let another person not go through the same conditions. Okay. Now, if you compare the two, I don't know, because we are our community, our leaders are us. So you can actually maybe find people that people are going to appreciate the church more than the hospital or whatever you would have done. Now, that's another whole topic. But he needed to, I mean, is this church, how is this church going to benefit the community? Apart from it being a building, this example I was saying that it is even going to make the community poorer, if that is that such a word. Because whoever was paying 100 to do a wedding in that in a church which was ramshackled is now going to be asked to pay 300 for church fees because now the building is more beautiful. What is that? So the community is going to become more poorer because of the building. They're now
No,
going to say,
you don't know about that. Maybe now that it has been built by a member, maybe now it is for free.
okay.
You be
Anyway, I
positive.
submit.
Be positive. Be
I
positive. What's
submit.
wrong with you, no people? You be positive. Francis, you had something briefly to then I can have a read.
Yeah, exactly. Bob reinforces the fact that attitudes are the ones which need to change. Because like I said before, the attitude we have about God and how we should pay him back or be grateful to him, and the way we understand him influences a lot of in how we with the decisions we make after such life-changing escapes. But then there's another big attitude we need to change. Moderator, you talked about people like rich people offending others, morally or maybe socially by whatever they do, but which is maybe to the public good or to the public annoyance. But I've seen it in our society here. People feel entitled even to decide on what plan of a house you should build. I've seen people commenting about people who can't afford things, commenting about this guy bought a very big car, this guy built a very big, this house should have faced this way. People have
If I were the one.
If I was, they have a sense of entitlement. Then when come to families, you might have experienced it in your family. If you tend to have more money in your family than others, they feel entitled. They feel a sense of entitlement that you should help them out. Is this dependence, poverty mentality, which pushes people to feel entitled in having an opinion in what those who they think have should do. Personally, I have siblings who I have a sibling who complained about me some 15 years ago. He complained about me that I don't I built a house with stone slates on my fence, and yet he doesn't have a job, and that I should have used the money for the fence and the stone slates to help him start a small business. Now that sense of entitlement, and it's a community thing. It's not only him. I'm not, but we grow up feeling that we have a say in others' resources. I think they basically, as much as those who have, should change their mindset on the priorities and maybe on the understanding of God and the priorities of society. But more so, even those of us who don't have, we should mind more our business of getting ourselves to the level of where those people are, so that we can do those things in maybe we can do half or a quarter or even a tenth of the things those people are doing, instead of making it our business to make opinions on how they spend their resources, either on us or for themselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jessica, you're going to come after Professor Seruvide.
Yes, thank you very much. When we are deliberating in a discussion or in a talk or engaging in discourse, people do not just talk whatever they talk. Their talk is usually marred and informed by other conversations. For example, if we are talking about the cost of schools or the cost of educating children in schools, you cannot avoid conversations of government, conversations of parents, conversations of the syllabus, the curriculum. All those conversations marry into and inform the current talk. Now, going back to our elder, Sam Kuteesa, because Sam Kuteesa, all of us here, I think we are grandchildren, or at least children. Yeah, going back to Mr. Sam Kuteesa, Honorable, the narrative that it is his money is oblivious of the conversation of who Kuteesa is in the society of Uganda and of that place in particular. Sam Kuteesa is not Sam Kuteesa in Uganda. Sam Kuteesa is a microcosm of government, not simply Sam Kuteesa. Number one. Number two, Sam Kuteesa marries into and informs the Ugandan conversation of corruption. So when people poke noses,
aren't those claims assumptions?
No, they're in papers. They're in papers and published, at least.
Oh.
Yes, they're in papers. So they're not assumptions.
But not court
And in
ruling.
fact, and in fact, even assumptions are part of conversations. Yes, you know, when you talk of we are in a Christian, we Christians, when you say gospel, for us with Christians, when you say gospel, the assumption, while others will call them assumptions, for us they are realities. Others will assume that there is a Son of God. So to them, it is assumptions, but to us, it is reality. So they are conversations and they're intertwined.
Yeah.
So through you, sir, Mr. Moderator, I would like to counter-argue the claim that that money was Mr. Kuteesa's. Why? Because Mr. Kuteesa is not just a person. He is an embodiment with conversations before and within his narrative. So it is from that, it is from that perspective. It is from that perspective that the locale or the locality and this talk we are trying now to debate here is in full force and it is in context. It is only in context because we are not discussing individuals and persons here. We are only discussing them because they are highly representative of the government and of any other entity of society. And in this case, Mr. Kuteesa cannot be exonerated. The decision he took, it's not he, but whosoever he represents. And to the largest extent, is a representative of government. Number one, and I'm done. Next point. The discussion also provokes us to ask the question, why do we do what we do? Why don't we do what we do not do? I have several reasons. I can have 7 reasons. But among them are our experiences. We do what we do, amongst other reasons. Experiences are one of the factors, main factors, that account for why we do what we do and why we do not do what we do not do. Allow me to define experience now. When we talk of experience, we do not mean an event. We do not mean an experiment. We do not mean an environment, but we mean the interpretation of those. Experiences are subjective, personalized interpretations of our events, encounters, environments, and experiments. And this interpretation is consequent upon our beliefs, our background knowledge, what we know and what we do not know, our environments, and other experiences. So Mr. Kuteesa and the other brother of ours who constructed a hospital, their interpretation of their experiences, for example, both of them underwent horrific pain, or they underwent terror of death. And when they returned from the fangs of death, they interpreted their encounters, they interpreted their events differently depending on their environments where they've been nurtured vis-a-vis other factors. For example, somebody who grew up in the United States, somebody who grew up in the UK, somebody who grew up in Europe or in such countries, and somebody who grew up in Uganda, in Darfur, in northern Sudan and southern Sudan, and so on, we have different environments, political environments, geographical environments, social environments, spiritual and financial environments. For example, I grew up in a religious environment of the SDA. Beg your pardon. And in that environment, we were taught a God who is the giver, who is the taker. We were taught a God who gets excited when you return to him his tithes, and who gets pissed when you eat his tithe. So in many cases, when we needed something from him, we could even promise to give him not just a tenth. We could even promise to give him a fifth. So such a God, when you're in hospital languishing with lung cancer, with throat cancer, and that is the God whom you are nurtured to whom you have been taught, you tell him, you know what, God, should I return to my family sound, then I'll build you a church, because we know that's what you want most. On the other hand, our white brother who grew up in Europe, which Europe is not as much religious as our society is, to them, what is materially sound is a hospital. For him, the interpretation of his experience, the same experience that Papa Kuteesa underwent, it is subjective interpretation, personalized, depending on several factors, amongst which are our past experiences, what we know, and what we believe. I submit for now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Peter, as usual, a very complicated professor. But in summary, what he says, number one, that Sam Kuteesa is not an ordinary person. Sam Kuteesa and government are almost synonymous. So it is difficult to distinguish Sam Kuteesa's money from government money. And then he goes ahead to attack the brother that since he was involved in some corruption things, that money looks like our money. Even though the man was not charged by the courts of law, the money still looks like our money, which is very, very, very unfortunate. And I think one of the traditions here, everyone who gets rich has either bewitched or they have slaughtered someone. So that is really understandable. Then he goes ahead to make another interesting point. I am summarizing your speech for those of you who might not actually bear the complications. You're always a complicated speaker. So I'm breaking it down for those who would like to understand. And then his second point was that what influences your worldview will actually determine your idea of the gift and your intention to gift. So it is very important that we always watch what is influencing our worldviews, because in the event that we have something that has occurred to us, our reaction will be tailored to our worldview and how it has been shaped and nurtured. Thank you so much, Professor. Justus, that's where you come in.
Thank you. You see, Professor said all I wanted to say.
Unfortunately or fortunately?
Fortunately, my case was that in this case of our senior, our grand, or our father, Kuteesa, I think we should realize two things here. We should know who the factors that affect the decisions. One is who we are, and number two is to whom do we belong to, what Professor Servid, I think, called environment. Now, when you belong to a Catholic church and it is time to offer, your offertory matters because you belong to a Catholic church and you're a Catholic. So you'll find that a Catholic who buys a rosary would be valued more than someone who buys something else. Now, the decision is that I am a Catholic, therefore my actions are affected by my belief and by the nature of who I am. Two, who do we belong to? Now, in our society here, we belong to brothers and sisters who believe that the church is, I think, is a place where God stays. A church is a refuge, is a place where everyone will go and find peace. So people will even sell whatever they have to build the church. Okay? Now, with such people, their need is the church. Even when reality brings in that a hospital is necessary than the church. But according to the people we belong to, even when you build the hospital, you receive criticism again. So we choose to do as they deserve, or as they want, or as they wish, because those are the people we belong to. Now, in our current situation here in Uganda, you realize that politicians, when it is time for election, now politicians are invited to churches, not to schools, but to churches. And the reason why they invited to churches is to hear the church needs, not the people's needs, but the church needs. And every politician will visit, and then they will tell them, we want iron sheets, we are buying machines, we are doing that. And that is where they got votes, or they get votes. So that is the nature, or that's the environment, all those are the people we belong to. Now, even when reality says we shall need a borehole, will work better. If reality says we'll need maybe a bus for transport, but the people we belong to will appreciate the church. So we can do all that because of who we are and who we belong to. Now, Sam is a politician. And he belongs to a society that is more religious than more realistic. They live in a fantastic world than a real world. So now, to the people who are not real, then you give to them what they believe in or what they think is more better. I submit.
Thank you very much. Ariong, you're welcome. You are normally not late, but today I was worried, but thank God you are here. It's good to have you, Ariong. Can you talk wherever you are? Okay. Ariong?
Can I say something?
Okay.
Ariong is still laboring. It is Labor Day.
We thought you were still traveling. We thought you were still laboring with the journey.
I'm actually on the road, but I want to say something.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I hope you can hear me first of all.
I can. I don't know about others.
Okay, before I go to Kuteesa's issue,
Mm.
I want you guys to go back and watch Dr. Yahaya's dialogue with Dr. Spire Jim at Makerere this week. Those of you who didn't watch it live, go and watch, or should I say listen to what he was saying.
Is there a
It will
link?
inform the topic we're talking about, which has been partly alluded to by Peter, I think.
Yes.
Bottom line
Is there a link for that?
Yeah, there's a YouTube link. I can share it again.
Okay.
The whole thing is 5 hours, but I think the critical part is just 2 hours, where the rest were just introductions, vote of thanks, 5 hours, but the real thing was just 2 hours. But the reason I brought in that guy is what we've always said here. People are worshippers. People are worshippers. They attribute their success to gods. They attribute their failures to a god or gods. So when you see Kuteesa doing what he's doing, that is the first point. Kuteesa is a worshipper. All of us are worshippers. Okay?
Yes.
And we attribute our success or failures to God. So for in Kuteesa's case, he survived cancer. Kuteesa is a chain smoker, we all know that. But if God gives you a second chance, like he said in his opinion, then why not build something for him in his understanding? But also, to be fair to Kuteesa, he gave 2 reasons for building his church. The first one was his parents were preachers. I think East African Revival and all. Parents or grandparents, one of the two.
Okay.
So the first reason was as a memory to them. The second one was his healing. I don't know why I focused on his healing. To be fair to him, he gave 2 reasons. And then the third thing I want to say.
Sebo, he focused on the healing because he said he made God a promise when he recovered, that he made God a promise that he would construct him a church.
Exactly. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because our churches every Saturday, Sunday are full of thanksgiving for healing. When we get healed, where do we all go? Besides government, which takes away our money forcefully through taxes, pay as you earn in some of our cases. If you looked at a Christian's budget, by a Christian, you can put quote unquote, their money goes into religious organizations. The Monies, the I don't know, Fanerus and what. So we are spending all our money in churches. What is Kuteesa doing so differently from us? Seed money, I don't know, first fruits money, I don't know all these things. We're spending our money is in church. So Kuteesa is us and we are Kuteesa. Can we stop the pretense already? Look at it. Just ask someone to break down their monthly money and see where it goes. An average Ugandan. So for me, that's the first reason. Secondly, a church is more important in Zimbabwe than a hospital. Why? Because not everybody in Zimbabwe dies of cancer anyway. And even if they died, the people will not be happy. The people will be okay with the God who gives their person cancer. They don't even know it. They won't even know it was cancer anyway. They will pray to their God, and then God will take away like He gave, and that's enough for them. That's comfort. So why are we denying the people of Zimbabwe to worship in the way they know? So again, I see pretense from us Ugandans. Thirdly, we all go to hospitals all the time. We don't need to build cancer wards, but how many hospitals, even small clinics, have we built individually to thank this God before we demand Kuteesa to build a hospital? Every time we get healed, we go to churches for Thanksgiving. So we're all Kuteesas here. Let's stop the pretense. Let me stop here for now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I wanted to hear whether Tom can talk. Sandra, daughter, you're welcome. I hope you're okay. It's good to have you around. Yes, Professor, do you want to?
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome, my daughter. Now, Professor, you want to comment about the previous speakers?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator, I'd like to react to the pre-current speaker by making a reminder. To first acknowledge that his submission is highly sound. Yes, it's highly sound, and I think I agree to that note and to that far, because we contribute to our fellowships, and that's okay. That's okay, depending on how we believe and what we think is the right thing. However, like I said earlier on, and I'd like to re-echo, that Mr. Sam Kuteesa is not Mr. Sam Kuteesa in this conversation. Because we are asking to what extent is northern is what do we call it, express, to what extent, how a need how necessary is express, is Entebbe express to the Ugandans, or to the larger part, because we are all Ugandans here, but to the larger part of Uganda. the roads we are constructing and so on, are they a need? Are we in dire need of the kind of roads that are mushrooming in Uganda? Some of us have been, also most of us here, probably, I want to assume, have been to upcountry areas where we have very good roads, very wonderful roads, which are being used to dry cassava, to dry beans, and to dry foodstuffs. So we wonder. That's what is in focus here. What is in conundrum here is Mr. Kuteesa as a representation, as a shadow of government. We are trying to quiz the quality of decisions of our governments, not just in Uganda, but elsewhere, even in the so-called developed countries. Do our politicians or leaders, do they decide based on our needs, our desires, our wants, or our prejudices?
Okay.
So I think that's what is in question here. When leaders decide, even beginning with our families,
But
because
Sam Kuteesa does not hold any public office, does he?
That's the point. That's the point. That Sam Kuteesa is not Sam Kuteesa.
No,
Okay.
but you have actually forced that idea on us, Mr. Seruvide. Sam Kuteesa does not hold any public office, does he?
But I want to tell you here, we are not here discussing persons.
That's what I'm
Sam
telling you. That's what I'm
Kuteesa,
telling you. Sam Kuteesa is not an
Yeah.
institution. Is he an institution?
Yes, in this conversation, he is.
How?
Yes, he is. Because we are not discussing Seruvide.
No,
We are discussing
there's no
we are
que- there's
discussing
no
Sam Kuteesa. We are discussing Sam Kuteesa because Sam Kuteesa is NRM, Sam Kuteesa is Museveni, Sam Kuteesa is the current government. It is of significance. It is only of significance because of that.
I think that is far-fetched, but thank you very much.
I don't think it is far-fetched. Sam Kuteesa is the key figure in this discussion because of that background, because of that history.
Professor,
Otherwise,
you
it does
actually
not belong there.
you are hard. Thank you very much. Rutembana, come in.
I wanted to respond to Peter. He is raising actually a good concern. The investments that we make, what is the basis of the investments that we make? And me, I would say that the ideal situation would be you do an investment appraisal. For example, the investments that we're making in Bunyoro in the oil region, they are necessary. And now, like, we are going to host AFCON, you've seen that they are putting up so many infrastructures, but some of the investments are political. There are some things that are done for political purposes. There are some roads that will be built for political reasons, not for economic reasons, but for political reasons. And you have to understand, because the decision makers are politicians. So if a politician is asked for a road, and that is the only way that can bring him back to parliament, definitely is going to ensure that the investment is done, that's the investment that is done because of the political interests that have been shown in his constituency. So I think it's both economical and political. And economics, I mean that it is solving both the business problems and even the social problems. There are some investments that may not be entirely for business, but they are for social reasons why they are being put there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Enoch, your hand is up. Professor, your hand is still up. Should I come to you later, or you need to lower it?
No. I'll talk and lower it. Yeah, I want to make a quick submission. I think we kind of missed. I think it was Jethro who talked about the three Psalms. Maybe you guys also have known about it. The Psalm Kuteesa, the Psalm Omara, and the other Psalm, the German. The Psalm Kuteesa, who is rich, who's able to fly to Germany and get treatment for cancer. The Psalm Omara, who terrorized the opposition, who were always trying to protest for better services. He got the same cancer, but could not fly out, so he died in our Molago poor facility. And the other Sam who constructed the hospital. So the issue here is mainly about, again, the way we see things. But I wanted to just add one thing from what I submitted earlier. I note that this hospital was actually constructed the construction was done in 2023. Okay. And why open it now? We are in politics. The campaigns are here. So this was actually a campaign tool. And when you read the whole story of what Museveni was talking during that speech, the guy was actually campaigning. So these are politics. So even as we may think, when we go in the mind of Kuteesa, really, why now when the church was constructed in 2023? So we are now having so you see there's a lot of I don't know even which word to use. There's a word I wanted to use, but it skipped my mind. At this time of the campaigns that you're coming to even open the
no word is diversion.
Yes, well, whether diversion or Kamasu or whatever, it was basically campaign tool, and Museveni's speech ended up just rallying people to support NRM, to all these things. So really, a hospital saves lives, a church saves souls. So our belief is that people need to know God through a church building. That they may not know him when they're on a hospital bed and someone is taking care of them. Maybe that is it. When we look at the church as itself, when missionaries used to come here, they used to construct churches, hospitals, and schools. Okay, the church building would be there, the hospital would be big, the school would be big. This is what the missionaries brought here. Now, my submission earlier, when I was reading the story, I actually realized that behind the scenes, there's even another hand in the construction, which is Tororo Cement. Actually, when you look at the plaque that the president unveiled? So the thanks were to Kuteesa and Tororo Cement. The Patel brothers, the one of Patel's actually put some money in this construction. And it seems like he asked Kuteesa if he wanted a church and a school. So I don't know if the school component is also underway or something, but there was that question when the representative of Patel is submitting, he talks about him coming to the former UN general chairman or whatever, Kuteesa, and they're discussing and the guy brings up a church and a school. So I don't know if finally he zeroed down to a church. So this is not only Kuteesa's money alone, actually. There's another Patel guy who is not even a Christian,
but who is a friend of Kuteesa?
Who is a friend to Kuteesa, whatever, or he rallied him or whatever. No, but see, those Patel guys, Trollo guys, they always do be projects within communities anyway, depending on who they interact with. Yeah, I just wanted to just make that quick submission. But
the cement factory is owned by who?
The what?
But the cement factory is owned by states. Those Indians are just funny.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Some information.
Yes.
Okay, the Patel brothers have built other churches as well. Kuteesa is not the first one. And imagine these guys are not even Christians, but they're building churches. So for me, it still goes back to the other thing I started with. People are worshippers. I'm sure they are God, Buddha, or whoever is happy with what they are doing, especially when you help non-Buddhists or whatever religion they belong to. So for me, it is all worship.
Yeah, but all in all, let me conclude this way. What is glaring, okay, is that we have a problem of cancer treatment or health, the health sector is really bad. And the fact is that people who have the money will fly out and they'll get healing in the name of money. They'll get healing in these hospitals, whereas those who cannot afford and can only access our poor health facilities will die. Full stop. So we can jubilate, oh, we have a nice building, the guy has thanked God and built us a nice church. But death is staring next minute when your kid goes to that facility, and there won't be drugs, there won't be anything for them to use to also get a miracle. Okay. Yeah, I submit.
Okay, thank you very, very much.
Isaiah,
mm,
I missed one thing. I also thought about this fact that suppose Kuteesa came to this, they're actually it's an All Saints church, so they are not priests. To these, are they called reverends or bishops? For All
Reverends.
Saints, reverends. I believe he comes to them with a proposal and say, hey, I want to do this project. I promise this to God. And when we see the way politicians do their things, we have an example of that president of Burkina Faso.
Bob,
Yes.
you ask a direct question because the leader of the Anglican Church is here. You just ask a direct question, he will respond.
Yes, I wanted to just say that the church is also gullible. When the Burkina Faso president was asked to that they are going to donate him millions of dollars to construct mosques across Burkina Faso, he refused. He said, this is not our need. We need hospitals, we need schools. Now, if these guys come to the bishop and ask, and the guy says, okay, I want to construct a big church here. If the diocese had already a structure there or a building which was ongoing or already a facility, would they have said, excuse me, sir, this is not our priority. Our people need better hospital and clinic. Maybe we can use that money to build up a hospital, a clinic. But they also decided to build a building because it was good business for the church. I submit.
Tembana, do you want to comment on that representation or misrepresentation?
I think that churches always have so many projects, and in case these guys had a church and they had no plans of expanding it, I think probably they would have requested the rich man to take on a different project. That's what I think.
Okay. Yeah. So there you are, Bob.
Because the need. Yeah, they had the need, and this person was offering, so it was just synchronizing somehow spiritually.
Okay. Professor, do you want to come back and make your accusations? Because you're still complaining that Kuteesa money is your money. Peter?
So as Peter comes, sorry to jump in.
Yes.
Can we do an audit of the average Ugandan? After government has taken their taxes, where does the rest of their money go? You'd be surprised to find out that most of it goes to their religious organization, either the shrines, traditional shrines, or the churches, religions, and so on.
Is that wrong? Chairman, you dropped off. Can you hear me, guys? Hope I'm not speaking to myself. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, exactly. I was asking Jethro whether that has a problem. Peter, can you talk?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I was saying that we need to do an audit of the Ugandan money, the average Ugandan, where their money goes. The government has taken off their pay as you earn, which is at source. You audit the rest of the Ugandans, you'll find out that the next biggest percentage goes to their religious organization. their church, their mosque, their traditional kasisira or whatever it is. Yeah, so again, I'm just saying what Kuteesa did was not out of the ordinary. But just to shift the discussion a little bit, using the example of Burkina Faso, which Bob has brought up, why would he reject mosques? Don't the Burkinabes need spiritual? Because they don't have mosques, they don't have churches, they don't have schools, like you said. But why are you rejecting the mosques, for example? Isn't what is wrong with having the spiritual and also the physical? As you wait for the physical, which is the schools, you have the spiritual. Can we talk a bit about that?
Well, yes, we should. We actually should. Unfortunately, the guys here are not talking. I've lost Peter. I don't know what is happening with Ariong. Maybe he can't talk. Okay, before we go to yes.
Yes,
You're back.
yes, I'm back. I'm back.
You're welcome. So we're asking why is the president of Burkina Faso rejecting the offer of building mosques in his country? Isn't there an Islamic need or spiritual need in Burkina Faso?
Hey, that's news to me, but I
Yeah,
think according I
he
think
did.
according to his assessment as as the vision bearer as the vision bearer of Burkina Faso, I think according to his assessment, they do not need mosques at the moment. Probably there are more needworthy items that he thinks are more crucial than the mosques.
I think, Professor Serwide, what you need to help us with, let us just open this discussion and put it at a large scale, and then ask the question, does Africa need church structures and religious structures for that matter? Does it need to spend its money, whether it is a gift or it is government or it is citizen money? Do we need?
Can I come? Can I comment?
Yes, you come and Peter will come back.
Yeah, I mean, literally speaking, again, if we're still in that belief system of God resides in a building, okay? So wetumuzimbira awatukuvu, then we worship him in this magnificent mosque, in this magnificent building, like what Sam Kuteesa bought. Maybe he will hear us more because he resides in a building. But the Bible is very clear with the new covenant that my worshippers will worship me in truth and spirit. No longer will they find me on that hill or in this place. You get what I'm saying? So if in the wisdom of Crowley, he rejected this Arab or whatever money, millions of dollars, and told them quickly that our priority is not mosques, but it is schools and hospitals. If you construct, we know whatever the school construction, a school is, okay? There will be large rooms, classrooms. You can always convert a classroom into a prayer session, move the desks.
So your straight answer to the question is?
My straight answer to the question is we don't need those structures. And if there is need, if we can build a hospital or a school, they can work ngasamona, okay? And then this building which we are really glorifying can come later. So prioritize would rather build. Yeah.
Brilliant. Because why would we spend 9 billion shillings on a building that we use once a week? Thank you very much. This is Peter's time, but Ruthema, do you want to come? Then Peter will come. Ped, I saw your hand. If you're not there, we can return the microphone to the owner.
Okay. I want to just respond. The first one was on what Jet had said about how we use our money. And I'll give an example. for the church that I belong to. In I think it was around 20 before COVID, before COVID time. The Kampala diocese, which is the biggest diocese in but Kampala diocese, which is the biggest diocese in the Anglican Church, was managed to collect 1.7 billion in revenue. That was in before COVID, I think around 2019. Now and then there's the time when we're looking for 60 billion to rescue church house, but we couldn't raise the money. Then we had to sell off some property for us to be able to clear the loan of equity. Now, why I'm saying all this is that we may actually think that we put in a lot in churches, but then when we actually may not be putting in a lot. The Pentecostal churches,
I agree.
The pastors may look rich because, like I've said, that 1.7 billion which was collected by the entire diocese of Kampala, I am not sure about our population, but that entire money that you see, if you have a pastor who is receiving, even if the pastor is receiving a minimum of 100 million coming in from his church, that is a lot of money. That means that pastor will be able to build a house in 1 year, or will be able to buy a bigger car. So when we look at them, we may think these Christians are giving a lot of money, but according to our potential, because the churches now, like the All Saints Church that I'm talking about, is a church where so many rich people go. Kampala Diocese, so many rich people go, but we only managed to give 1.7 billion, and that comes back to probably the perception. Maybe we still have that talent that we have on let's say the money that we're giving. Then okay, Peter can first come in. I'm getting disruptions here. Sorry.
We can hear the Magie. You have the Magie, or like was it Anita?
Sorry.
Yes,
thank you, Mr. Moderator, for this opportunity. The question, directed to me was: do we need church building structures in Africa? I think that was the question. And I'd like to come from this experience. Mukono, from Kampala to Mukono in Uganda, for those who will listen to this, in Uganda here, from Kampala, capital city, to Mukono, it is 11 miles, and those are 18 kilometers. On a normal work day, to travel by taxi or by minibus, that is, we call it minibus, taxi, from Kampala to Mukono, or from Mukono to Kampala, it is 4 hours. 11 kilometers, rather 11 miles. You take 4 hours in a taxi. Now, there is a train option. In the train, you hardly take 20 minutes. On a border, you take something like 30 minutes or 40 from Mukono to Kampala. So we need to ask, what do we need? The road or the train? What do we need? The taxi roads or border roads? In other words, what should we enhance? What should we prioritize? I think it's not even a question of priority now. It's a question of need. Now, what do we need? So I wanted to start from that from that, because I've experienced this for, I think, now a month. If you're traveling from Mukono to Kampala, just 11 miles away. So we would like to think, therefore, that probably there are places in Uganda or in Africa where church buildings are still a need. And there are places where church buildings are no longer a need. After COVID-19, we really discovered that we can have a church. We can have a church to mean individuals who believe in God. We can have a church of thousands and 10,000s or millions of people when the physical structure is just a 6-seater church. So in environments or in societies where we can have a church, a physical church of 6 persons, but congregating with tens of thousands online, I think church buildings or structures are no longer a need. But because humans or human beings sociologically are religious beings, where religion addresses their morality, religion addresses their psychology, there are societies that still need church buildings. Probably as they grow and as they develop, as their societies transform, then church buildings would become luxuries. Just like in most of the European countries where church buildings have turned bars, they have turned clubs, and they no longer see that need. But like I want to say that before, spirituality is usually built from physicality. So in areas where people have matured spiritually, still coming together is important. Okukungananga is important. But there are those who can.
Your direct answer now is?
Yes, my direct answer is church buildings are still needed in some areas where they are a need, and they're not needed in other areas. What do you mean
by that? What do you mean that they are still needed where they are in need? Where is a church building a need?
Yes, you could find a society like Kachinzi, like Bukomero.
And why do they need that structure?
They need that structure first to build their social cohesion.
But
Bob
already gave you an example.
And
he told you that if you built a school, the people in Kachinzi, where I come from, that is my country home, can always congregate in that school. What is wrong with that? Why do they have to have a separate building for a church and a separate building for a school?
Probably now we need to nurture that counterculture. But
we just need to state that there is nowhere in the world where a church building is a necessity, unless if your theology dictates for a specific church building.
Yeah, I think in most cases you'll find that, Pastor, you'll discover and you'll be shocked that in fact it is not even their theology that informs church buildings. It is rather their sociology.
I doubt, but thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
I doubt. Francis, welcome back. You dropped off. Sandra, do you want to say something? Justus, do you want to say something? Arion, can you say hi? Are you okay, my brother? All right. Okay. That one is in private sector.
But Isaiah.
Yes.
Also, apart from the church opening, that ceremony had so many things, and there's that misconduct between Sechkuwa and Kuteesa. Yes.
How is
in front of.
how is that our business? For us, we are handling one aspect of that ceremony. That's what we are. But we shall come back and then discuss the politics.
Okay. Okay, you know what? My issue was on to really show that maybe this was not even a serious religious activity, because how do you even show bad manners in church like that?
And now you bring a very important question. You bring up a very important issue that we need to look at. When politicians gift religion, are they doing it for the religion or for politics?
Yeah. So was Kuteesa thanking God, or he was doing?
Yes. So what were the politicians doing? Number two, when religious leaders let politicians do things for them, can these religious leaders hold these politicians spiritual accountable?
How do you can't?
Yeah, exactly. So now that means that the religious standards are compromised at the point a sinner contributes that amount to that. Now these are the problem. These are the problems. All right, good. Now anyone who wants to come in, we are now winding up.
Yeah, let me
Yes,
close
yes.
just make another comment. It's a kind of different thing, but I mean, our churches, there's a lot of politics. That's what I'm saying. It's all about politics. Now, you can go to a particular parish in those deep villages, and this parish maybe even has a school. This school is a very, it doesn't have facilities, but the parishioners or the people in the community will clap hands when the president donates a $300 million car to the bishop, for the bishop to move in that car. They'd be like, oh, our president, because this is politics at play. Now, that same amount, if it was prioritized right, it could probably have bought a small coaster for the school to move the kids at work as the school, bus that can move kids from their villages. They gather. I mean, I'm just looking at the example here of how they manage their transportation for the kids. The kids find them somewhere, and the bus comes and picks them. And
the means of transport is walking. They walk.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They can walk 5-10 kilometers to the school, and they are happy. They are clapping with the bishop being brought with a 300 million or 400 million car. So, I mean, we've seen stories of kids using a boat on their own, or crossing a bridge which can break any minute. So for me, the issue is our priorities, and our churches have not really helped in putting these priorities right, because our church leaders are also now more like businessmen who are transacting for comfort life. We no longer have those church leaders who were comfortable in their, humbleness, but they are also gullible, looking at Museveni. If you don't give us our car here, we will not rally the church for your vote. So it's this event was more of political and campaign and politics. As I said, the church was constructed in 2023, but here they are opening it now during campaign times. So it's just politics at play.
But religions are also a political entity, aren't they?
Yes, they are, but at least originally they used to have that service of the people, but now it's even more pronounced that the leaders are more concerned about their benefits more than what the flock. They used to work for the good of the flock, but now I see many of those church leaders are more gullible.
But they negotiated they negotiated their structure for the flock, Bob. What do you expect else? I think the religious leaders of Sembabule and of Mitoma did well to negotiate from these politicians, and they got structures. Whether those churches actually are installed with the furniture, I don't know, but at least now the worshiper in Zimbabwe is in a very comfortable building, and that's what the religious leaders have negotiated from the politicians, which for me I think is well. Francis, do you want to say something? You dropped off at a certain point, and you're back.
Sorry, I'll excuse myself since I may repeat what has been said or ask things which are
Okay.
out of context. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I'll just listen. Yeah.
That's all right then. Thank you very much. Well, Justus, do you want to say something after all that you've listened to?
Yeah, I've been listening, and there is what you mentioned that they negotiated and they got churches, luxurious buildings, but people within those buildings are hungry. They have no fees. Thank you.
Okay. Well, well, Sandra, do you want to say something? What have you gathered so far? Okay. Sandra, you can't hear me probably. Okay, fine. Yes, Peter.
Yeah, there is a lot. In fact, we need to ask, what does it mean to build a hospital? What does it mean to build a church? Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Is it right? Yeah, I think it is right. Depending on whom do we build? Because, for example, when you construct a church, isn't it more important, just like you said, and isn't it more important to build the residents of the church? In other words, the believers, isn't that of quality? Then on another note, we would I would conclude by saying that we react or we act depending on our experiences. We can encounter the same encounter or experience the same event, but the interpretation of that event depends on various factors.
Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you very much. Now, I want to ask a few things here. And Jethro, are you there? Have you reached home?
Not yet, but I can talk briefly. What's the matter?
Are we, number one, are we right theologically and socially? Are we right to spend our resources on these structures known as church or religious structures? Can't Muslims worship without a mosque? Can't other religions worship without those structures? Did you hear the first? Did you hear the first question? The first question
Yes,
is,
I heard.
yes, I'm asking everyone, by the way, whoever wants to start will start. My first question is, are we theologically right as believers in God to spend our resources, money and energy in constructing these huge, humongous structures we call mosques, we call churches? You remember what Gaddafi did in Kampala? The money is spent on that mosque. You know, recently I was in Rubaga and I looked at that cathedral. You know, now you can go all over. Can't Muslims worship Allah without those structures? Can't other religions worship without those structures? Are we theologically right and socially right to spend on these structures? Okay, Jet, come first.
Yeah. Okay. Theologically, we are not right because first of all, we don't even agree on which God we worship.
Okay.
Because if Muslims enter the mosque without shoes, Christians enter with shoes. Another religious God tells them do not marry. Another religious God tells them marry four. Another religious God says first bathe first bathe before you come before me. So basically, because of those theological issues, we cannot have
Yes.
one physical structure or physical space. So
So
theologically, we are wrong, and yet because for me, I feel we should ideally be having one space in a community with Muslims, with Catholics, there should be one big space where people can use it on any day of the week. Muslims will use it on Friday, SDS on Saturday, and others like that. So theologically, we are wrong, to be precise and short.
That's a wonderful innovation. That's a wonderful one.
But which won't succeed, Miss Professor Serubide? It won't succeed because the Muslims will be uncomfortable to come in the place where the Kafirs were recently. And the Pentecostals will be uncomfortable to be in a place where the demons were of Allah.
Can I give an example?
Yes, Bob.
I just wanted to give an example because that is what is exactly happening here in my place at the university. Now I'm looking about the university setup. Of course, we can say that the setup is different from a community, but that's exactly right. At the university where I am, we have what we call a multi-purpose hall. Okay. Now this hall on Friday, it is used by Muslims, and I've attended one of their swala or whatever you call it. I've been there, and they just remove everything. They put their mats there, and it becomes a mosque. They know where the sun rises or something, and they face in that direction. Okay. Now, when they are finished, they move away their things. Actually, they put back tables where students read from and whatever. So on Saturday, the Adventists can use the same hall to pray. Now on Sunday, another Christian group comes and uses the same hall for worship, and no one is complaining. Now the issue comes with when now on Sunday, because of now the different divisions we have. These are Baptists, these are whatever, these are Pentecostals. Now, of course, they cannot be in the same space, but ideally they could have been, because they're worshiping the same God, it would have been okay, like it's a community church. But because of the different beliefs now that come in, you find that these ones will go to another room, these ones will go to another building, because of the different style of worship. But yeah, so a same hall, for example, in a school setup can work, but in a community, that's the tricky thing because of the divisions and styles of worship. It becomes impractical.
Okay.
So
yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Just us. Then I go to Francis.
I am now in a Muslim community.
Right now.
Yeah, right now. And before I came here, I thought a mosque was the only place these people could use. I thought it was the holiest place. But for the month I've been here, is that these people even take long to go to the mosques. Wherever they are, they have their clothes. I don't know how they call them. They move with them. And whenever it is their time to pray, wherever they are, you see them join in different places. But the last time I preached in my born again church, my pastor chased me there.
Why?
Because the church was used to foster laziness and stupidity. So one day, God gave me grace to preach, and I told these people that if you want land, you shouldn't sleep in the church for 24 weeks that you're fasting. Come here, pray, and go work. And the kind of the born again people I belonged to, and the kind of the pastor I had, did not believe in that. was like, no, you're making people, you're preaching a wrong gospel. So now to my people who want to go to church and fast for 24 days, they are praying to get a wife. Instead of going to date a girl, they come and fast. So you find them, you find them more in church than they are in their economic works or societies. So me, I think it would be a very good idea, but it won't work, like you said, but it would be a very good idea. And again, I think we should start preaching to people that the house of God purely is not that building. I think theologically we are still wrong to build them and to own them, because if we follow Christ, probably he didn't build any church here, physical building. He pastored his people wherever he found them.
Okay.
And I think that we should be using the funds and everything to build the souls and the hearts of people. Me, whenever I go back to church nowadays, I don't fund the machines they buy. No, I fund the souls. I pay fees, I buy books, I build these people to enjoy their life in Christ. Thank you very much.
That's good. Thank you very much. Francis, you have the last word. Whoever has the last word, this is your time now. Quickly, we have 1 minute. Yes,
Yeah,
Francis.
mine was just a simple and just supplementing what Bob said, that in communities where religious practice is a bit more liberal, people share halls. I'll just give you an example. When I was in England, I used to worship from a place in London called Mitcham, but we used to use the Anglican church we used to rent the Anglican church on Saturday. I was SDA then, and then the Anglicans would use it on Sunday, and they had no issue with it. And the Muslims would hire community halls, community centers. So it was common. You find Muslims on Friday hiring a community center, then you find Pentecostals hiring that community center on a Sunday. And then even SDAs would hire it, because we used to hire in Beckton, we used to hire a community center for different religions would hire it on different occasions. So what I was trying to say, that even in communities outside school setups, worship places can be shared. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, thank you everyone for being here. It's been good to have you around. This is In Truth and in Spirit World of Worship Fellowship. Besides all that has been said, I think it was a good gesture for a worshiper to support his worshiping space. All worshipers must support their worshiping spaces. In other words, according to the testimony of Sam Kuteesa, God ministered to him, so he decided to return the favor. Gentlemen and ladies, those of you who are Christians, if God is ministering to you in any way, please return the favor and minister to what ministers to you. I hope you have understood. May God bless you.